You want to become a wedding photographer, but you're asking yourself, how am I supposed to start wedding photography without a wedding photography portfolio? This is a pretty common question and the first thing you always ask yourself when you're starting out in wedding photography. So let's talk about 4 ways that you can build yourself a beautiful wedding portfolio. Also, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Starting out with styled shoots. If you're not familiar with styled shoots, they're basically fake weddings. This is where a bunch of vendors get together and show off the best of their skills. You can get a florist, a dressmaker, a cake maker, a planner, a venue, and you get everyone together and you put on a fake wedding so that you can take photos and provide content for everyone for all of their hard work. Now, as with anything in life, there's pros and cons to doing a styled shoot, so let's talk about those. The biggest pro is the fact that you can style the shoot however you want to. So if there's a particular type of wedding that you want to get more often, you can style your styled shoot that way. I don't know if you all know, but showing your work and what you want to get is the best way to get more of that work. So if you're always complaining and saying, well, I live in a specific area and all we have here are barns, then try to do styled shoots not in a barn. I know it's easier said than done, but show what you want. This also goes into curating your portfolio. If you're just posting everything that you do, you're going to keep getting the same stuff. So if you're curious why you always get barn weddings, even though there's other venues in your area, it's because you're only posting barn weddings. You need to show something else so that those people can get excited about your work as well. Speaking of showing your ideal work, styled shoots also give you the ability to work at a venue that you really would love to. Being able to do your styled shoot at a venue that you would love to work at proves that you're able to take beautiful photos at that venue. So it's great for your portfolio, and also couples tend to veer towards things that they see that they want themselves. So for instance, I started doing weddings at the Heights House, which is an absolutely beautiful venue in my area, and now I've started booking more after doing 2 styled shoots there and also more weddings on top of that. So make sure you get in contact with these venues that you want to work at and do a styled shoot there. Also, one of the biggest pros to doing styled shoots is you get to connect with other vendors in your area. If you're providing photos for a dressmaker, a cake maker, a planner, a florist, you're going to have closer ties with them, and this gives you the ability to book weddings with them as well. If a florist gets hired and their couple's looking for a photographer, they may go ahead and actually give you the inquiry as well, since they've worked with you before and they loved your work. And now, while this sounds absolutely amazing, there are some cons to styled shoots as well. One of the biggest ones being styled shoots are kind of obvious. If you've ever watched any of my live streams, I call out styled shoots all the time when they're sent over my way. They're great for photo building and making your portfolio, but a lot of times they just look too perfect. There are going to be situations that you're not going to be able to get in a normal wedding day. You may not have the time for it. The couple just looks too good. There's so many reasons why styled shoots look like a styled shoot. The best way to combat this is to try your best to only choose photos that will work as a normal couple type photo on your website. I know you want to post all the beautiful photos you did at your styled shoot, but trust me, pick ones that feel more real and only use those. Keep the rest of them for other stuff, for advertising, for specific places on your website, for like backgrounds or something, but don't make them your like main hero photos or your Instagram posts. Use the ones that look more like a real wedding for that. Again, the goal of the styled shoot is to give you portfolio work that you can also show your couples and get them excited about doing that same type of work with you. And the last con with a styled shoot is the fact that there's not a wedding party or just wedding guests at all. A lot of times those photos aren't going to work out well if you're doing like a ceremony type photo. There's just no people. And getting a bunch of people for that to make it look real is near impossible unless you're paying all of them as extras, and we don't have money for that. So style shoots are a great way to start building your portfolio, but be aware of those cons and try not to let them stick out too much. But let's go ahead and talk about the second way to build your portfolio, which is small and intimate weddings. Now, small and intimate weddings are probably the best way to get into wedding photography at all. I talk about it all the time, but if you're a brand new wedding photographer, don't go charging thousands of dollars and getting full 8 to 10 hour wedding days off the bat. You need to start with smaller weddings where the stakes are not as high. Backyard weddings, elopements, intimate weddings, this is what you want to work on. I've talked about it before, and I'll leave a video up above about how I used Thumbtack to start out my wedding photography business, but I did exactly that. My first wedding was actually just a small wedding in Central Park, and they only wanted me to cover the ceremony and a little bit of reception. That was perfect for me to get started and not feel overwhelmed with a full on wedding. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons of building your portfolio with smaller intimate weddings. The main one is something I already mentioned, which is the fact that the stakes are not as high. You have more time to make the photos you want to without being bogged down by like a planner at the back of your neck saying that you're taking too long or just so many things in the day having to happen and you just not being there. Smaller weddings are so much nicer to just hang out with the family and get the photos you know you needed. A lot of times as well, because it may be like a backyard wedding, you can take your couple somewhere else to get ideal photos of them together as well, which is great for building your portfolio. The second best thing about intimate weddings as well is being able to get candid moments of all the guests. There's not going to be a lot of guests, but when they're hanging out for like a cocktail hour or eating together, this is a great time to get some real, just hanging out candid photos of everybody. What I've noticed at smaller weddings is that people emote a lot more. I feel like they're not as uncomfortable as a larger wedding where there's like 100 plus people. So it's good to get those candid shots to show those in your portfolio. Because the biggest thing you should notice about what I'm telling you here is pick out the best parts of different types of portfolio building. Styled shoots are going to be great for the couple portraits, for getting specific venues, that type of stuff in your portfolio. A small intimate wedding is going to be great for candidates, photojournalism, getting real emotions. That's what you want to focus on when you're doing a small wedding. And again, for the last pro, like I said, this is great for couple portraits. You have so much more time with an intimate wedding. You can even do it like a courthouse wedding, right? It's like, okay, we go to the courthouse, I take a couple photos for like 20 minutes, and then we go to a park nearby or an area that's like really beautiful nearby, or the courthouse itself looks great, and you take the portraits. And at that point, you can have like an hour or 2 hours just with the couple if they want to take a lot of pictures. So, this is absolutely amazing for couple portraits if you're doing smaller weddings. Now, there are some cons as well. The biggest one being a lot of times smaller weddings are just not nice weddings. Now, I know that sounds a little mean, but my wedding was small too. And compared to nice weddings, it was just like, it was kind of, you just get together, you get married, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually absolutely love smaller weddings and I appreciate them so much since I also had a small wedding. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to book like $5,000 weddings, you can tell a small backyard wedding against that. So they're not going to fill up your portfolio with what you exactly want. You can kind of tell that they're small, intimate weddings. However, they make good for candid photos, couple photos, and also if you're doing an elopement package on your website. And another big con about smaller weddings is the fact that you're not getting all of the day in your portfolio. What I mean by this is a general wedding day is going to have like getting ready photos, possibly a first look, family portraits, cocktail hour, so on and so forth. And a smaller wedding usually doesn't have all that. Small intimate weddings are pretty much like maybe getting ready photos. And a lot of times they can do something like the couple gets together and they get ready together. You have maybe a cocktail hour, not really. Ceremonies very small. Reception, if even, it's usually just hanging out and eating food. So it's a very different vibe. And if you're looking for specific photos for specific sections of the day to fill out your portfolio, you're probably not going to get them on a small intimate wedding. Now, with that being said, again, small weddings are a great place to start out. And if you're new to wedding photography, I highly recommend that you start taking smaller intimate weddings. The nice thing about them as well is that a seasoned wedding photographer like myself is not trying to take them. A lot of times these couples only want to pay like $500 to $800. And for me, that's just not worth my time because I'm dealing with larger weddings. So smaller weddings are the perfect starting place for a new wedding photographer. Also, if you're new to wedding photography, the one thing you need to make sure you do is build yourself a website with this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace recently had a huge update of features which I'm extremely excited about because it's very much business owner focused. If you're not familiar with Squarespace, it's an online platform that help you build a website and your web presence, but it's all the features that they have that really matter. I've been on Squarespace for over 10 years now, and seeing them add these new features has been absolutely amazing. They're adding Squarespace payments inside of the Squarespace app, meaning that you can manage your payouts directly inside of Squarespace and also have alternative payment methods. This is huge for business owners. Speaking of payments, you can use Commerce to start your own online store, being able to do physical and digital products, and also things like courses and sell videos. There's so many options for you as a business owner on Squarespace. So if you're new to wedding photography and you're looking to get started and don't have a website yet, definitely make sure to sign up for Squarespace with the link in the description below for 10% off of your first website or domain. Now that we've already gone through two ways of building your portfolio, let's talk about the last two, which are going to be the best, but also come along with their own pros and cons. The typical one that you're going to hear about always is second shooting. Now, second shooting is when you're an assistant to the main photographer and you're taking photos. But there's a lot of caveats to being a second photographer. And honestly, we're going to start out with the cons of this because I don't think it's the best way to build your portfolio. The biggest con with being a second photographer and trying to build a portfolio is the fact that you're not there to create your portfolio. You're seconding to assist the main photographer and get the photos that you need. I've actually been second shooting a lot recently, and that's a big part of what happens typically in a day. You're set to go with the groom and you're hanging out with the groom and taking his photos. You don't do any getting ready photos with the bride, and a lot of times you end up not being able to take a lot of different photos. Your focus is less on the photos you want to take for you and how you want to take them, and more so taking what the main photographer wants and how they want them taken. So make sure you're asking your main photographer what it is that they want on the day of, how they want you to shoot, and what's the most important. But again, a lot of these weddings where I second it, I literally have like barely any getting ready photos of the bride at all. So it's really not a big portfolio builder. Another big con with second shooting as well is that you may not be able to use the photos. Some photographers do not like you using the photos of their portfolio and of their couples. So because of this, you end up with barely any photos of anything that you could use for portfolio building. This is why, again, everyone will tell you to build your portfolio this way, and I don't think it's the best way. I would rather you, as my second photographer, focus on getting the shots that I need you to take. I'll let you use the photos, but assist me. You know what I mean? Like, if I need water, get me water. If I need you to carry something, carry it. I don't want to see you over there trying to set up your own poses and your photos are so important while I need something to be taken care of. Another con as well, sometimes you get separated in doing tasks that you don't really want to. Kind of what I was getting at with go get me some water or things like that. But a lot of the times, like the last time I was second shooting, the main photographer was taking portraits with the bride, and I wanted to get some of those photos, but then the planner had a question about something they needed set it up for the reception. Because the main photographer was busy, I went and helped out with that, and I missed the whole section of photos. Or sometimes cocktail hour is happening, and the main photographer's with the couple, and now I don't get to get any of those photos because all I have are cocktail hour photos. These are very typical things you're going to deal with as a second photographer. So if you think seconding is going to get you your portfolio, just don't. You'll get some good shots, but for the most part, you're not going to be happy with everything you get because you're either not posing the couple or you're off taking the details of the reception area because the main photographer has to take pictures of the couple. There's just all these things you're going to miss out on and you're not going to get what you want. But since we started off with the cons, let's talk about the pros of second shooting. The biggest pro is this is the easy entry into wedding photography. You're not the main photographer. None of this stuff matters. You just show up, take good photos, listen to the main photographer, give them the photos, and go home. It's a great way to see how a wedding day is planned out and kind of functions. It's a great way to see how the main photographer works. It's great for learning wedding photography. So, second shooting is probably one of the best ways, which is why everyone always recommends it for building your portfolio because you get to be there, you get to see it, and you also get to take photos and you get paid. Like, what else could you want? And having that guidance from the main photographer is also a big pro for being a second photographer. Having the main tell you what to do, show you how they do it, and you can ask them questions goes so far in your journey as a wedding photographer. This is basically how I got my start. I did shoot weddings by myself for about 2.5 years, which I don't recommend doing unless they're just small weddings. But having someone show you the ropes goes so far. And once I started second shooting and found my mentor, my growth was like almost exponential. It was kind of insane, really. So the pros of second shooting are large, which is why everyone recommends it, and you should definitely do it. If you're having a hard time finding second photo gigs, definitely check out Shoot With Me. It's a great website where you can sign up and have photographers find you for second photography jobs. I did a video about it. I'll put it right up here above. Definitely check it out. And probably one of the best ways of building your portfolio, given pros and cons, is associate shooting. Being an associate photographer is honestly one of the best ways to learn wedding photography, build a portfolio, and also possibly book more of your own weddings. However, there's huge caveats here, so let's start with the cons. The first one being a lot of photographers don't let their associate photographers use the photos. This one is understandable because it's a wedding in their portfolio, but it's very unfortunate. If at all possible, find someone who actually will let you use the photos because this can be huge for your business in building your portfolio. My mentor, which I will link his YouTube down below, he let me use all the photos that I've taken at his weddings, and it made a huge difference for me in building my business. And I actually was able to book more weddings that looked just about like his weddings because of it. Also, with just about 1 year of associate shooting for him, I pretty much started booking my own weddings as well that were of the same caliber. So it can really make a huge difference if you can find someone who's down for it. Another big con is these weddings could be way higher of a caliber than the weddings that you normally get. Now, it's kind of a pro and a con, mainly because pro, it'll help you book better weddings, but con, if you don't have any other weddings that look that nice, it's going to show up on your portfolio and just kind of be like, why is there this extremely beautiful wedding and then the rest of them look like slop, you know? This is why you have to be extremely picky about what it is you're showing on your website and stop posting everything that you take. Just post a couple of photos. Less is more beneficial than more. So I know a lot of people will say, well, there's no photos on my website. I feel like people are going to think that I don't shoot a lot. It doesn't matter. You need to post what it is that you want to see and nothing else. If it's not a great photo and it's not the type of photos you want to take, do not post it. And the last con of associate shooting is the fact that you don't have as much of a rapport with your couples. A lot of times you're just showing up and you like don't know these people. So it's just kind of like, oh, hey, I'm the photographer for today. And it can lead to a lot of like weird and awkward situations during your wedding. I talk a lot about your rapport with your couple, and I'll leave a video up above about that. But it's really important to have a good rapport with your couples because without it, you could run into a lot of issues. And this is where you hear all those horror stories of like weddings that are just like the worst. It's usually because the photographer didn't have a great rapport with their couple. But moving on to the pros of associate shooting is you get beautiful weddings in your portfolio. Again, this is the best way to actually build your own portfolio because you're actually shooting the wedding. All the photos are yours, they're in your style. It looks great. You're getting the whole wedding day. Associate shooting gives you so much to work with. Aside from any tips that the main photographer is giving you about how they want to see things done, you can do whatever you think is going to work out. This gives you full wedding day photos that you can actually use on your website that look like real weddings and they're just absolutely beautiful photos. And having this on your website is going to help you book better weddings because people will see that and then they'll book you for the weddings that look like those as well. Also, for a huge pro is the fact that you get to pose your couple the way that you want to pose them as well. So any signature poses that you have or whatever approach that you have, you can take that at these weddings because you're the one leading. Make sure you get the stuff in that your main photographer would want, but a lot of times they trust you with anything anyway, which is why you're an associate. So associate wedding photography, hands down, is the best way to build your portfolio. But again, pros and cons to everything, and you have to weed through all these different ways of building your portfolio and what is going to be the best. Now, if you're at the start of building your portfolio, there's something extremely important you should focus on every time, which you can check out in this video right here.